with calls to fire WWE executives and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Explaining why he does not have a specific finishing maneuver, Gunther said this to Fightful. It's a wrestling cliche with the finishers and stuff, but it's also like it's a thing that WWE really established, I think. And I see the big upside to it, to be honest. But I always approached my wrestling with logic, like whatever makes sense at that day to do in that situation. So that's how I always approached it, and yeah. Asked if he has to finish his story at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes told Busted Open Radio, "I don't think I have a definitive answer, but I will tell you I think it does. The reason being, if last year the match had gone differently, if last year Roman had just beaten me 1, 2, 3 right in the middle, I just crumbled under the lights and I wasn't on his level, that's a different story. The way the match unfolded and the year I have, it feels like it has to be a WrestleMania. It just seems like it's coming full circle. Everything can change. You have to get to WrestleMania in the first place. Whether you win the Royal Rumble or the Elimination Chamber, it's not an easy task. It would have been different if this was the first time." Talking about his desires to be in the main event of WrestleMania, CM Punk said this during a vlog for WWE. "It has always been the goal. I watched guys like Bret Hart do it multiple times. So to me, as a kid growing up, I'm no different than a kid who watched Wayne Gretzky skate and wanted to put on a pair of skates. I'm no different than somebody who watched Michael Jordan and was like, I love basketball, I want to follow in his footsteps. I'm just walking the path that great legends before me helped pave, and I want to accomplish the same things that they did. I want to breathe that air that they breathe at the highest mountaintop." On the possibility of The Rock being involved in WrestleMania 40, Dave Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that one person in the company noted that Johnson was headstrong about wrestling Reigns at WrestleMania. Recalling a time on Raw where she shouted, "My hole," Nia Jax said this to Chris Van Vliet. "When I walked back after the match, everybody was laughing. I was like, okay." Then everybody was like, "You're trending on the internet right now. Like, #1 of my hole." And I was like, there's no way. It was a joke that I was playing. It was COVID times. It was just a different era. But yeah, that took on a whole other level. It was incredible. The funny thing is, I didn't realize that the cameras were going to pick it up that loud. I say a lot of things in the ring that don't get picked up. I'm cussing up a storm, and now it was like clear as day. And I'm like, what? My mom's proud. My mom's so proud of me. Jax previously said this about it to KNS WrestleFest. So it was more of a joke to Pop, Hunter, and Vince McMahon and Gorilla. It was literally more to make them laugh. So when I did it, that was the intention. And then when I got backstage and saw that everybody was texting me about my whole trending, that's not what my intention was. Asked about the recent allegations against Vince McMahon, Nia Jax said this to House of Wrestling. "Oh, it doesn't, I'm all business. And this business is built on hard work and dedication. And that's what every single wrestler in this room is doing right now. And so we just move forward. And it's, and we're going to put on an amazing show." Giving his thoughts on the deal that Netflix and WWE have made for Monday Night Raw, Netflix CEO told Straight Cherry, "We love this deal for a whole variety of reasons. One is that, the one you mentioned, which we think that this is quite close to what we do. We think we are in the business of telling dramatic stories around sports. You've seen it with Drive to Survive or Breakpoint Full Swing. We were able to negotiate reasonable optionality in that regard, which we like because it gives us a little bit of room to learn and also to extend if we like where it's going." In an article, a valuation was given for All Elite Wrestling, with Dave Meltzer noting in the Wrestling Observer Daily Update. Forbes did a story today on the world's most valuable sports empires in 2024. Shad Khan was listed at number 11, listing an $8.25 billion valuation between the Jacksonville Jaguars, Fulham, and AEW. According to those with knowledge of the story being put together, the AEW value was figured in at $2 billion. As Kazuchika Okada is set to depart New Japan Pro Wrestling, many are wondering where he will end up. As PW Insider said, AEW is being seen as far more likely landing point for Kazuchika Okada than WWE. There have been very little, if any, discussions between Okada's side and WWE. Following new information regarding a sex trafficking lawsuit against Vince McMahon, he stepped down from his position on the board and as chairman of TKO. When it comes to the internal reaction to this, Ringside News wrote, "Some within the company are expressing relief and happiness over his exit, with a sense that McMahon is facing the consequences of his actions. This move comes on the heels of a civil lawsuit filed against McMahon and former WWE employee John Laurinaitis by Janel Grant, a former WWE employee. The lawsuit alleges physical and emotional abuse, sexual assault, and trafficking within WWE, including an alleged attempt to use Grant as leverage to secure a new deal with Brock Lesnar." Reports from PW Insider Elite suggest that there was anticipation within the company for further fallout from the lawsuit, especially after Slim Jim suspended its significant sponsorship with WWE due to the allegations. McMahon's resignation happened quicker than anticipated, and there are speculations that Endeavor, the parent company of TKO, may clean house and remove individuals closely associated with McMahon. Employees who left WWE when McMahon initially stepped down and returned when he regained control could be at risk if Endeavor opts for a fresh start. Sources within the company suggest that anyone with ties to McMahon might be viewed negatively moving forward. This development coincides with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's recent appointment to TKO's board of directors, sparking rumors that he could become the new face of WWE. Some employees are hopeful for the return of Stephanie McMahon, though her previous departure occurred before WWE's merger with UFC and Endeavor's takeover. There was also a disagreement over if the former WWE employee was contacted during a previous investigation into the allegations against Vince McMahon. As Ringside News noted, a special committee on the WWE board had conducted an investigation into McMahon concerning allegations back in 2022 of hush money and sexual misconduct. However, it is now asserted in the lawsuit that Ms. Grant was never interviewed during this investigation. In response to these claims, Jeff Speed, who had led the investigation as a board member, has spoken out via the New York Times. He characterized the investigation as thorough and stated that they had reached out to Ms. Grant. "I remain confident in our investigation, which included outreach to Ms. Grant and engagement with her lawyer," Mr. Speed conveyed in an email from Simpson Thacher and Bartlett LLP, the law firm employed to represent the committee. Although Speed departed from the WWE board in 2023, he acknowledged the gravity of the allegations in the lawsuit. However, he clarified that he is not at liberty to comment on what was and was not discovered during their investigation. Staying on this topic, more names could be on their way out of WWE, with it said by Ringside News that speculation is rife within WWE that Endeavor, the parent company of TKO, may undertake a broader purge of individuals closely associated with Vince McMahon following his resignation, according to reports from PW Insider. The prevailing sentiment is that a complete fresh start is necessary for the company's future, potentially resulting in cuts to McMahon's remaining team. Several employees left WWE when McMahon initially stepped down in 2022, only to return when he regained influence on the board of directors in January 2023. However, there is now a belief among insiders that anyone connected to McMahon could face a negative perception going forward, which could impact their standing within WWE. The fallout from Slim Jim suspending their high-value sponsorship with WWE due to the allegations was expected by those within the organization. Sources from within WWE have also indicated that any association with McMahon may be considered a major negative moving forward. This could place those who previously departed WWE alongside McMahon in 2022, only to return with his re-entry in 2023 in a precarious position. Touching on Triple H constantly comparing her to the late great Chyna, Rhea Ripley had this to say to Cameron Hawkins of The Ringer. Hunter definitely likes to put me next to Chyna. We didn't actually have like a sit-down conversation about how my career would pan out. We sort of just let it all grow in a way naturally. In a video, former WWE star Aaliyah can be seen performing as a DJ at an event in Toronto. Announcing the theme song for WrestleMania 40, WWE wrote this on X. With WrestleMania season right around the corner, The Weeknd becomes the only artist in WWE history to have 5 official theme songs 5 years in a row. Gasoline from the album Dawn FM is an official theme song of WrestleMania XL. Talking about the move that Raw is making to Netflix, CEO of TKO, Ari Emmanuel, told CNBC, "All I can say is that we are in line with the market expectations and where our step up would be. The only other thing I would say is it's Netflix. They're the global leader. They're the best company with regard to sports entertainment, whether they've done it with Formula One or Tour de France. This is the next iteration as they go to live and moving into live. This is an important step for them in their SVOD and subscription service, and live is important for them. The word Netflix is important for this. 10-year deal with Raw, it's a big deal. We just saw it 2 weekends ago on Peacock, how big football played. 27 million people. I don't think linear is going away. I don't think cable is going away, but there is a push to streaming. On this deal, we did that early on with the UFC on ESPN and ESPN Plus. From our perspective, this is the next iteration of where this goes. We have a linear play with SmackDown and NXT. This is the streaming play. For us, it was the next step. It's a great deal for Netflix, in our opinion. They get 150 hours of programming, over $5 billion. It's like 2.5 movies for 150. For us, it's the global player in streaming. It's a great deal. With him recently posting an apology video for his past transgressions, Velveteen Dream explained why it took a few years, telling Chris Van Vliet, "The 3 years, I always say that it takes everyone the time that it takes us. Everyone got their own process. My process just happened to be 3 years. I'm in a much better place in my life now, both geographically, mentally, and emotionally, and physically, to be quite honest. And being away from what I'm used to, the city, moving away from Orlando, Florida, and just taking time away from pro wrestling to figure out who Patrick Clark is for the first time in his life without pro wrestling in the back of his head. I think that's what's given me the 3 years that I needed to right my wrongs, and you can't right all the wrongs, but it starts somewhere, and I thought an apology to the victims and to the people who I affected on a personal, professional level was the way to go." During that same interview, Velveteen Dream mentioned why he did not bring up the allegations of grooming minors in that apology video. One, I thought common sense would address most of it, but as a lot of us know out there, common sense is not so common. The allegations levied against me, 2 very harsh ones, involved inappropriate communications with minors. So we don't narrow this thing down. As anyone who is not of legal age, I'll assume 18 years or younger, who's not considered a legal adult, and you're having inappropriate communications with them. And that's either to solicit something from them, or you just don't have positive thoughts. Those, the person trying to do those things, they're not pure of heart. Yeah, a groomer. That wasn't all I was called. I was called a pedophile, a pedo, not very hurtful and damaging titles to give a person. I didn't earn that. I don't have a history of malicious acts towards anyone. I never have. Everyone's got a past, and they got lessons they learn from and grow through. Not everyone has a history. A history is repeated behavior, repeated offenses over and over and over again. I've never, ever had a history. I've been around my co-workers' children. Commenting on the allegations against Vince McMahon, Natalya said this to the Orlando Sentinel. "I've seen and I've read what everybody else has seen and read. I feel like at the end of the day, the best thing we can do, especially as women in the locker room, is keep moving forward." Speaking about the situation with the woman and former WWE employee Janel Grant and Vince McMahon, Jim Cornette had this to say on his podcast. "I'm sorry if I upset anybody in this, but if this was a completely unwilling relationship on one side of this thing, there are several key points that in this relationship where most people would say, you know, I've had all I can stand, I can't stand no more. Whether it was the hedge or it sounds like she was enjoying some of the relationship in terms of either financially or otherwise. The question is, at what point after, if you are locked in offices against your will and violated against your will by multiple people and forced to send a variety of not just booty shots, but whatever the F to other people and blah, 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 is the effing you're getting worth the F you're getting? Again, if it was something that happened and this woman said, I am incensed that you have done this and I'm going to complain to someone, or even if it was over some period of time where there were attempts made at activities like this and it was constantly turned down and then she was either attacked or she was fired unjustly. This is going on for a while and she appeared to be more than amenable to doing a lot of it. Mentioning the whereabouts of WWE President Nick Khan before Vince McMahon resigned from TKO, PW Insider reported that a short time before the Vince McMahon resignation was announced last night, WWE President Nick Khan was in the WWE Royal Rumble store in Tampa, walking around and taking photos with fans on the floor. Taking to X, Ryback reacted to the news of Vince McMahon stepping down as chairman of TKO. Here's the clip.
"Yo, I'm the big guy, Ryback, and Vince McMahon is gone." That's right. Vince McMahon has resigned from his role as TKO executive chairman and his position on the board of directors for TKO. In this situation, the tomb has been opened, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of what's about to come. With Slim Jim already pulling out of the Royal Rumble and other sponsors up in the air, TKO is going to be in quite the position to have to make some big decisions very soon. You see, the WWE, even though purchased by TKO, is an extension of Vincent Kennedy McMahon's mindset and personality. You see, many years ago, myself and a small group of talent were made aware that Vince McMahon ran the WWE off of the book 48 Laws of Power. And not only did he run the WWE that way, he ran his life that way, and this is not a good thing. I've been telling you guys this since I saw what WWE tried to do with me with the NDAs and trying to take my social media and then illegally suppressing me through their partners with this. They are not good people, and what I believe TKO is going to be forced to have to make a big decision to gut, and I mean gut, Hunter, Prichard, Heyman, Hayes, and many, many others. Get them the fuck out of WWE once and for all. Many there were fully aware of everything going on. And you guys are going to see, as more and more comes out, exactly what I'm talking about. The truth always wins. You hear me say this over and over, and the truth is just beginning. And that's the last bite. Feed me more.
Also reacting to the news of Vince McMahon's departure from TKO, former WWE and UFC star Ronda Rousey said this on X. Bruce Prichard is basically Vince's avatar. If he's still around, Vince still has a hand in the business. Vince was still running things through Bruce when he was gone before. And for the results of the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble, Bayley would end up winning the Women's Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns would retain his undisputed Universal title against AJ Styles, LA Knight, and Randy Orton. Logan Paul would defeat Kevin Owens via DQ due to a usage of brass knuckles to retain his United States title. And Cody Rhodes would win the Men's Royal Rumble match. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.